Hey there, this video I'm going to do something different. I don't do a lot of product reviews or anything like that, but I wanted to do a video on Dragonbane and why I like Dragonbane as a role-playing game. I actually took down a bunch of notes, which is also something I never do or rarely ever do. And I also talked to like my players and people that have played Dragonbane to get some of their opinions on the system. First of all, for me, first thing attracted me to Dragonbane is the art. The art is just awesome. Like, there's not a bad piece of art in any of the products so far. And what you see before you is the core book, the bestiary, and the box set. The box set actually contains the core book as well. It's just a soft cover version with one minor exception, but it's a complete game, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But the art is spectacular. Just looking at these covers, there's 2 more books coming that are in Kickstarter right now. They're being worked on, and they're just as stellar. Free League kills it with their art. All their games, really. All the Free League games have awesome art. But that was the first thing that brought me into it. The box set, which I got through Kickstarter. People might confuse that for a starter box set. It is not that at all. It is a complete game, and there's actually a complete campaign in it, full campaign, and everything you need to play, from the softcover book to a little battle mat to standees, which they use as like thick card tokens for miniatures that have awesome art on them. I'm not usually a big fan of, I think they're called pawns. I'm usually not a fan of those because obviously I'm a miniatures and terrain guy, but those are super nice, and I have used them in the past for some games that I've run. It's a great, and you can get that box set. I think I've seen it for like $31, $32 on Amazon, so it's a incredible value. Like, if you're just looking for one thing to get, it would be that box set. The bestiary has more kins, which are the races for Dragonbane, and then a host of new monsters. So that's a really good book also to grab. The whole thing's worth having. I'll talk a little bit about the mechanics of the game. It's a roll, it's a D20, uses a D20, but it's a roll under system. So you want to roll low, which is the opposite if you're used to like D&D or more traditional games, Pathfinder, any of those where you're always rolling high. And in Dragonbane, you want to roll low. Rolling a 1 is a critical success. It's called rolling a dragon. And if you roll a 20, it's a critical failure. It's rolling a demon. It's really nice though. Like one of my players, Matt, said what he liked about it was, as soon as you roll your dice, you roll your D20, you know if you made it or not. There's no calculation. You've already figured it out. You're either rolling under, it's a skill-based system, so you have skills and you're trying to roll under your number. And as soon as you roll the D20, you know if you succeeded or failed or not. So what that does is it makes gameplay very quick, which is nice. There's no, like I said, there's no leveling. It's a skill-based system. So how that works is, like almost all Free League games, all the ones I've played, at the end of every session, there's like a list of questions you ask of your character, and if you answer yes, you get a check mark, or you get like an ability to a chance to roll to increase your skill. And also during play, if you roll a dragon or a demon, you mark off the skill that you did that on, and you get a free roll for those. You can't double up your rolls at the end. You can only, like, if I wanted to roll to increase my sword skill, my character's sword skill, I could only roll once. Even if I had 4 or 5 chances to roll, I can only roll once per skill. So, and if you roll, so if you fail that roll, which is what you want to do, you bump that skill by 1. And then when it hits 18, you get a heroic ability, which if you think of like D&D or Pathfinder, they're kind of like feats, and they're just more things that your character can do. It's really a lot like, and I had somebody else tell me this, and it really clicked for me when they did. It's if you've played Call of Cthulhu, the system is kind of a lot like Call of Cthulhu. They just don't use percentile dice. They use D20s. Now, there's a bunch of rules that are different, obviously, but as a whole, that roll low and then roll to fail to improve your skills, that's very much Call of Cthulhu. Very much Call of Cthulhu. Really nice. Let's see. Banes and Boons, so they have basically their versions of advantage and disadvantage. Except in Dragonbane, those things can stack. Whereas in like D&D, which has advantage, disadvantage, none of that stacks. So you could have like double advantage or double disadvantage, which would be double Banes or double Boons, which is interesting. You can also do things in Dragonbane like push your rolls. Again, very much like Call of Cthulhu. But you push your roll, and when you do, you get another chance to roll, but you also get a condition. Whether you succeed or fail, you get a condition. And your conditions affect your attributes, so you have to be, and it has the standard attributes, except there is some difference. There's like a willpower instead of like wisdom. There's willpower, which feeds into how you either cast magic spells or you use your heroic abilities. But you get a condition on your attributes, which affects the skills that go along with that attribute. So you have to be kind of very careful, and these conditions can add up pretty quick. We've had some sessions where you guys have been pretty much maxed out on any conditions, and they can get, not all free release games do this. They do this, but they have a different way of doing it. Like Vaesen and Mutiny of Zero, you start to become broken and all this stuff. And Dragonbane doesn't do that, but you definitely start to notice, because when you have these conditions, if I have a condition on my strength, which would affect like my character's sword skill, I would start rolling with Banes on any skill that is affected by that attribute. So definitely they can add up pretty quick. It's for me, I don't usually pick up systems very well. Now, I've played a lot of Dragonbane. Last year, I'm still playing in a monthly Dragonbane game, but we played several campaigns using Dragonbane last year and maybe even finished this year. So I have probably close to 50 sessions worth of Dragonbane. 40 of those were likely just straight out of like using the rules in the box set, so I definitely got my money's worth. But it's a super easy. The first Dragonbane that I ran as a game master was very impromptu. We had some downtime at our annual gaming weekend, and we needed some games to play. And I ran an adventure out of the campaign in the box set, and I zero prep, like none, and it's pretty simple to run. The adventure I just finished running, The Shadow over Gloomshire, other than reading, I did very little to no prep. I did initially just because I'm so used to doing prep for my games, but then as that game went on and I saw how well the module was written and how easy the game is to run, because most of my time is playing Dragonbane is as a player, not as a game master. I just didn't have to prep that much. It's super easy to run. The magic system, I don't have first-hand experience with the magic system other than on the game master end. But I like how it works. Like, I've played in all the games I've played in, we've had casters. You use, willpower, and spells cost willpower to cast, and you can upcast them, and I like how it works. I see some complaints about it. The only complaint within my circle is that they wanted more variety, and that's coming because one of the books in Kickstarter is all about magic. I think it's going to have at least 7 new schools and a host of new spells to go along with all of those. So that's going to be taken care of. Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's see, what else we got? This is all pretty much mechanics. It's a very... I'll keep going down my list instead of jumping around, because otherwise I'll mess this all up. Fast. Combat is super fast and very dangerous. You just roll the die, like I said earlier, and as soon as you see the result whether you succeed or not. And then you move on to the next thing, the next person. Very dangerous combat. In Dragonbane, your Constitution score is your hit points, and they never go up, with the exception of there is a heroic ability you can take multiple times when you earn heroic abilities that bump your HP by 2. So, but it's a very low hit point game, and everything does a lot of damage in Dragonbane. Weapons do a lot of damage, monsters do a lot of damage, and we'll get into the monsters here in a minute. So it's very dangerous. Like, it's very easy to drop characters. I had in the Shadow over Gloomshire, we had Scarif was killed first or second session. And characters went down a bunch of times in that game and were just saved by other players. So it's a very dangerous game. And one of the things, I've actually been asked this on one of the review videos, recap videos for the Shadows over Gloomshire. Some asked me about the system, and I responded to that person. Appreciate their comment. I responded because in Dragonbane, it's kind of like 5e, where you take a rest, a long rest. They don't call it a long rest. I think it's called a shift rest. You get all your hit points back. And the person asked me how I felt about that. And in Dragonbane, I don't mind that at all. In 5e, right at the very beginning of reading it, way back in 2014, I hated that rule. I hated it. And I ran a ton of 5e, and I never grew to like it. I did not like it. In Dragonbane, I don't mind it, because one, you don't have a lot of hit points, so you're healing at most, if anybody ever put an 18 in con, which I've never seen anybody do, because you got other skills that, con doesn't really, I don't think it has a lot of skills attached to it. I'd have to look at a character sheet. But it's not like a primary attribute. So you like strength for fighter types, or intelligence, or for, the caster types and stuff like that. So you're not going to have a ton of hit points. I think Scarif was running around in our game with like 11. One of the reasons he went down so quick, and some tactical errors, but that happens when you're learning a system. So I don't mind that rule at all in Dragonbane. I'm fine with it. The other rule, one of the things I like about Dragonbane, because the way the system is, and without the leveling, you're able to use more powerful monsters earlier on than you would in like a regular leveling type game, be it Cast Crusades or D&D, Pathfinder, any of those. So like if I wanted to throw a vampire at the party, I could do that. It would be very tough, of course, but there is a chance that they would succeed, because I don't have to be, they're not level 1, and that thing's, like in Cast Crusades, I think they're 9 hit dice. So they're hitting like a level 9 type creature. So you're able to use that stuff much sooner. Like in Shadow over Gloomshire, they fought 2 different Death Knights, so, and that was after a few sessions. So, and they barely survived both those encounters, but they did. So I like how that works. One of the big things I like as a game master, not so great as a player, but it's definitely adds a level of tension. In Dragonbane, monsters. Now, there's some that you would traditionally think of as a monster, but they act like NPCs or characters. True monsters in Dragonbane, like Death Knight or a dragon, like you see on the cover, you do not roll to hit. They automatically hit. So, and then all they have is a list of different attacks, and you roll randomly on that chart, and they do that attack. There is an option for players, if they haven't taken their turn, or if they have the right heroic ability, they can try to evade those attacks. If not, if they've already spent their turn, they're getting hit, and that's very, very dangerous because they do a ton of damage. The only thing you roll for is their damage if it's a damaging attack. As a game master, that if you've listened to any of my recaps for Cast Crusades, I'm a horrible dice roller as a game master. I roll low all the time. Like, it's just awful. So this is nice for me because then I don't have to worry about it. I just automatically hit. So I do enjoy that. And that type of combat requires some strategy, because we do round by round initiative. We draw cards. Dragonbane has cards numbered 1 through 10. Some monsters have they'll have a ferocity rating, which if it's ferocity 2, they get 2 attacks per round. They would draw 2 cards because they would act at different times in the initiative round. So I like how that works a lot too. We had a lot of fun with that. It keeps it very tense because it changes every round. It's one of the reasons I do round by round initiative, but as a group in Cast Crusades. In Dragonbane, it's individual. But I generally have played Dragonbane with smaller groups, and the rounds are so quick, it's not really a problem to shuffle cards and deal them out every round. It works really well. And excuse me, armor in Dragonbane absorbs damage, which is great. I love how that works. So it really works well with the system because monsters dole out a lot of damage. So if you have decent armor, you can take some of that off, like in our Shadows over Gloomshire adventure. Erd, my friend Chris's dwarven paladin, he was a little tank. Like, I would hit him, but very seldom hurt him. And if I did, it was just he would just take a little bit of damage because he was taking, I think, like at least 7 points off the damage every time he got hit. So I would have to whittle him down. There was some times I got him down into the single digits, but like it really took some doing. So I really like how that works. That is probably one of the better armor systems I have seen. What else? So that's a nutshell about the mechanics of the game. I've really sped through that, but the next thing I've found with Dragonbane is it is super easy to adapt to other things. I have played in 2 and currently in a 3rd different Dragonbane adventure campaigns, and none of them use the official Dragonbane setting, which is the Misty Vale, which is in this book, the Adventures in the Misty Vale. I've played Dragonbane using Pirate Borg. I've played Dragonbane in an adventure called The Elder Oak, which was written for Old School Essentials. And I'm currently playing Dragonbane in this one's kind of a setting neutral adventure, but it's called Ave Nox, which is a mega dungeon. So we're playing that using Dragonbane. So it seems super easy to adapt. I will, if my Thursday night group comes back around and if we want to do more Dragonbane, I'll probably run the campaign that's in, or part of the campaign that's in the box set. There's another campaign book out already called Path to Glory, and that's not connected to the original campaign. I guess you can connect it, and it's also designed for a little more advanced characters. So that would be something like after you ran Misty Vale, you could run that, or I could take characters like our Shadow over Gloomshire characters and run them through the Path to Glory adventure. So it has that option. What else? I think the last I have on my list is, for me, Dragonbane fits, if I was looking for a very low magic setting, I think it does it very well. You can play this game, you don't have to have tons of the more traditional magic items that you see in D&D, Cast Crusades, Pathfinder, games like that. We have seen magic items in our games. They're always very unique, which is cool. It's not just the generic, +1 sword or anything like that. They usually do something unique. I don't know if I've ever actually seen an official Dragonbane magic item. There's treasure cards that you can draw that come with the box set, and we haven't drawn anything like that, but you can kind of put stuff in that you want to make. You can homebrew stuff, which is really nice, but you don't even need those to play the game. Although sometimes you got to figure things out because there are some monsters that can only be hit by magic items. So that would be more of I would imagine, if you're going to do something like that or have something like that, you would want to have some sort of quest around getting an item that would hurt said monster, but yeah, so you can very much play it with out tons of magic items kicking around, or treasure. Loot is very low in Dragonbane, although I will say equipment in Dragonbane is really expensive, so it's kind of if you're looking for a more, like I said, low magic, low, not super high fantasy style. You could do that with Dragonbane. I mean, they do have some kins that kind of throw that off, like the mallard and the wolfkin. That talking about the two kins right out of the core book. The rest of them are in the core book. You have humans, elves, and dwarves and halflings, and then along with the mallard and the wolfkin. I've seen some people complain about the mallard. That just seems to be a thing Free League does, and I could be wrong about this, but I actually think that originated in a game like RuneQuest, maybe. I could be wrong about that. I never played RuneQuest, but I read that. And Free League has kind of dropped the mallard in, I think, pretty much all of their fantasy-based games. Like, I think it's even, I think I even saw it in Symbaroum somewhere, or somebody posted something about it. I don't know. I've never played Symbaroum. I have some of the books, but haven't got around to playing it yet. And then the bestiary has a bunch of other ones. Like in the game I'm currently playing in, I play an ogre, which is cool. And there's some other ones, but you could definitely, like any game, you can omit all the ones you don't want to use. Like, so that's an option. So you could play a very low magic, gritty, sword and sorcery style game, I think, with Dragonbane, very easily. Quickly, I mean, I've played it for over a year and a half now, but it's become one of my favorite fantasy games. I have, a bunch of games. Obviously, I run Castle Crusades. That's my favorite version of D&D. This is not D&D. It's a little bit, it's different. It's a fantasy game. It's probably maybe not the best explanation, but for me, there's a difference. But it's one of my favorites. It's actually one of the few games I've ever played where I have had no desire or need to really homebrew any of the rules. Like, it's a really good game. So if you're looking for a fun fantasy game that's pretty easy to learn and play, and it's getting some good support material. I haven't bought a lot of, or the only thing I bought outside of the Free League stuff is that Shadow over Gloomshire, I did a review on that, I think. Or I talked about it in the recap video. That's a great adventure on drive-through. I would recommend buying that if you're looking for an adventure. But it has more support coming. It's got 2 more books coming. It's got a line of miniatures coming, which I backed that Kickstarter. So that will be fun to get those. And the Kickstarter is all based on the art from the books. So like it'll have this guy here and a version of this guy here and the monsters from the core book. But yeah, so that's my, in a nutshell, why I like Dragonbane. It's a great game. Very affordable game. Like I said, you can get this box set for like $32 on Amazon, and you'll get a ton of use out of it. Like just using the campaign, and if you don't want to make your own adventures, you can just run the campaign. And it's a full campaign. It's not like a single adventure. It's a full campaign. So definitely give it a check if you're interested. And thanks for watching.